What's good? What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Ferris Muthana, and welcome to another great edition of Good Friends, Better Rivals. We are coming down to the end of the season. We are going to go through conference championship weekend, two drastically different games. We're also going to then preview the big game because we can't say the other word unless we'll get sued. But
it's
here
a Super Bowl.
Hey, man, shut up, man. Hey, you got lawyers? You got lawyers?
Of course.
No, you don't. Get out of here. I'm not getting sued. All right, because they don't because they don't like have a sense of knowledge in their brain, dummies. It's like, but it's not there. You heard the man. The man is gonna take us through all the craziness of championship weekend with me to go on this journey. It is the one, the only. It is San Antonio's favorite son. Let me. No way. No, you're not from San Antonio. You were born there, but
I was born there. But...
Yeah, you were born there, but you're not from there, man. The man who's actually the Vegas security guard, unlike Josh Duhamel in the TV show Vegas, is the one, the only. It is the man.
The security guard.
No, because in the show, he's like surveillance and like security. He's like the president of the security team, and like he kind of like, and he's like a Vegas local, and like he kind of like knows everybody in Vegas, and like kind of like runs Vegas's underbelly, like because he knows everybody, right? You know, from the escorts to the con men to the criminals. You know what I mean? So you're Josh Duhamel, and I'm James Caan. You know what I mean? Because I got the charisma, and you're
because you're an old white man.
No, you're just no. It's because you're taller than me. All right, that's why you're taller than me. You don't really say much. You kind of brood. You know, you're kind of a brooder. You know what I mean? You can't find love. You know what I mean? Just like in the show, he can't find love. So yeah, it just makes sense. You know? You ever watch that show?
No.
No? It's a good show. You should watch it.
Probably not.
Watch it. Watch it. Shout out to the people in the chat. Shout out to the main man, Leo. Leo, have you ever watched Vegas? Probably not. You know, it is what it is. What's up to Delia?
Definitely not.
You know, shout out to Ryan. But Caleb, NFC AFC Championship game just happened.
Yeah.
It was a great two matches, two drastically different matches. Let's go to the morning match. Ravens, Chiefs. It didn't feel like a Ravens-Chiefs game. It was very defensive, a slog. The Chiefs got on them early, and that's all they really needed because in the second half, the Chiefs were shut out. And Baltimore couldn't crawl out the hole that they created for themselves. Take me through your initial feelings on that morning game. And one last thing, shout out to you, Big Rich. Leo, man, I'm watching it right now. It's on Peacock. It's a great show. I like it. It's a pretty cool show. James Caan's a good actor. I like James Caan. I'm a big fan of James Caan. That's why I'm watching it. So, Caleb, AFC Championship game in the bank. The Chiefs came in, robbed the bank, and headed out.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, obviously I picked the Ravens, so obviously I was wrong with that, first of all. But I did think it was going to be a low scoring game because I'm betting the NFL. I did take the under. I didn't think there was going to be a whole lot of points scored considering
what was the over under then?
I have to go back and look, but it definitely
it was probably definitely more than 27.
Definitely. Yeah. It was definitely more than that, but it was definitely pretty low for NFC for a conference championship game
between the Chiefs and the Ravens.
Just considering the defenses of these two teams, so I definitely didn't think the offense was going to have a whole lot of success. I only picked the Ravens because they had a better weapon in Lamar Jackson, but he didn't play well. So if he's not going to play well, then that's kind of takes a big bite out of their chances of winning that game, and that's kind of what happened. If he and then because the defenses pretty much did what they needed to do. I mean, like you said, they shut out the Chiefs in the second half, but the Ravens kind of got shut out for most of the game.
Yeah.
Except for a couple of drives there. And it was just kind of self-inflicted wounds by the Ravens. They kept penalties. They had the fumble right before on the one. It was just kind of over and over mistakes that they were making, and
The
the
taunting
Chiefs,
penalty beforehand that
yeah,
brought them back. Because I believe the big play, Zay Flowers, they brought them, I think he brought them to the 5-yard line. Then they
mhm.
called the taunting penalty, brought them back down to the 15-yard line because it was 10 yards.
Yeah, what surprised me the most is that the Chiefs come right out of the gate just, like, scoring, like, very quickly on the
Hmm.
Ravens. I was like, "Whoa, I haven't seen this from the Ravens defense all year," and they just getting
Yeah.
their ass kicked right now. And, obviously, they stepped up in the second half, but, at that point, when your offense isn't really doing much, you can't really overcome that. Um and so, yeah, that was a big surprise for me, but, yeah, it's bad. And like I said, it's hard like I said, it wasn't like, "Oh, I thought the Ravens absolutely gonna win." It was more
They
just
had the
I
momentum.
didn't think they were gonna the
Yeah, they had the
momentum that they
momentum.
had, it was just like they were like an unstoppable force coming in,
Hmm.
and they got stopped.
Yeah.
But mostly because they stopped themselves. But like I said, it was hard to pick against Patrick Mahomes because you know what he does in the playoffs, you know what he does in conference championships. I mean, he
It's
wins a
true.
lot of games there because of his play, and we saw a lot that in the first half, but just keeping them down is a credit to the coaches on the Chiefs side. They didn't lose the game for them. Um, so a lot had to do with coaching because maybe the players couldn't finish it, but they ultimately did because of the Ravens' own mistakes. So
Yeah, yeah.
as long as the Chiefs didn't lose it in the second half, and credit to the coaching staff for
Yeah,
not giving
man.
them the game.
Shout out to Adelia one more time. All the possible combinations for the game that we could have gotten. This Chiefs Niners combo is the least interesting out of all of them. That's true. I believe. I think a lot of people. This was the least interesting matchup because it's a rematch of a couple years ago. I think everyone really wanted Lions Ravens. I think everybody really wanted Lions Ravens because it's the Lions. It's the Lions. You know what I mean? And it's the Ravens. Well, honestly, any matchup with the Lions would have been more interesting. You know what I mean? And we almost got that. We almost got that. Almost. The deal also too, yo guys, shout out to everyone that voted in our poll on the community tab a couple of days ago. Y'all are leaning Niners heavily. The poll guys
I'm
that we put out,
I'm not
80.
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if it is the least interesting match. I mean, we've seen the Ravens beat both the 49ers and the Lions pretty badly. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's true.
so was it gonna actually be an interesting matchup if
Yeah.
knowing the Ravens record against NFC teams, considering that they just blew
18
out
and
both
1,
those teams?
19, 20 and 1,
Yeah,
20 and 1, I think.
and they just kicked both those teams' asses. I mean, I don't know if it was gonna be an interesting matchup.
By the way,
I
Caleb,
think this matchup is probably gonna be a better game.
let me tell you something, Caleb. You know who that one loss is to?
Yeah, we already know. It doesn't really
Yeah,
matter.
yeah. The New York Giants, baby. New York Giants. That's who we took you out, Lamar Jackson. Remember that. Over 222 people voted or accounts. So shout out to y'all. Thank you so much.
What do you think
I
that's
know-
due? Why do you think people think 49ers so heavily like that? That's very much surprising. I thought it was
yeah.
gonna be a lot closer than that.
I
For
think,
222 votes. Like, that's crazy to
no,
me.
because I think, they definitely have the edge QB wise. It's a fact. That's a fact. Brock Purdy fans, trust me, you would trade Brock Purdy for Patrick Mahomes in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
They
that's
have
what I'm
that.
saying.
Yeah,
I mean, Chiefs have the quarterback advantage, so why is the 11% for the Chiefs? That doesn't make any sense.
because I think they think the Niners team is better. Like the overall roster is a better team. I think they think tight end wise, they're pretty much even, I believe. I lean more George Kittle because of the blocking factor. And I truly believe if George Kittle was used like Travis Kelsey, the way they use him in Kansas City, where he's the main option on that offense, George Kittle's stats would be just as great. I guarantee you. I'm putting my name on it. You know what I mean? But they don't do that because Kyle Shanahan is a master. Like he has to contend Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk for targets, and they run the ball with Christian McCaffrey a lot. So they need George Kittle to block. So in that edge, they have the edge. Wide receiver, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Marquez Valdez Scantling, Rishi Rice. You lean more Niners, right? Um, Running back, come
Yeah,
on.
I mean, obviously the Niners have more weapons than the the
Yeah,
the
but no, but then
Chiefs.
like
I
defensively
think the
wise,
Chiefs are playing better right now.
I agree with you. I think they have the momentum, and I truly believe they're like. Here's the thing: that their sauce, their secret ingredient, the thing that they sprinkled on the Chiefs that make them good. It's not Andy Reid. It's not Patrick Mahomes. because that's the main ingredient. You know, that's the tomatoes in the pasta sauce. Like duh. But that special secret ingredient, like, yo, man, I drop a little nutmeg in my sauce. I drop a little sugar in the sauce. You know what I mean? It's Steve Spagnuolo. It's Steve Spagnuolo. Steve Spagnuolo in big games knows how to create a game plan, and he sticks to it. The key was to stop the run against the Ravens. You know, Lamar Jackson is a good passer, but they would want him to contain him running the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that was the key. And it was basically Steve Spagnuolo basically made a choice. Our corners, let's see what our corners doing. I'm leaving them on islands. We're playing man. Zay Flowers beats L'Jarius Sneed, taunts him. Everyone's like, oh my God, L'Jarius Sneed, what is wrong with him? Next play, what does L'Jarius Sneed do? Fumble. Forces it. You know what I mean? He basically said to his corners, man, hey, man, we're stopping the run. We're probably going to play a little bit more man than we usually do. You're the keys. And that's what happened. They stopped on, and it also helped that the Ravens abandoned the run. Let me tell you something about the Ravens, Caleb. So Lamar Jackson rushed the ball for eight times for 54 yards. But after that, their two running backs, Justice Hill and Gus Edwards, 6 carries. 6 carries. They abandoned the run. They got scared.
I don't get what the thinking was.
I don't.
I don't know if they're just trying to showcase. Oh, look, Lamar, he can go out there and throw it and win the game, but with his arm. I just don't understand what the game plan going into.
Exactly. They made them one-dimensional. This year, they haven't been one-dimensional. It was they're going to pound the rock, shove it down your throat, and then when you're trying to lean run, they hit you over the top of Lamar Jackson. It was dynamic. There was variety. There was adjustments and play calls. They adjusted in the second half to the Houston Texans. You know, they so like, because I was talking same thing last week with Coach. When Houston brought in their pass rusher, Myjai Sanders from Cincinnati, they ran the ball right at Myjai Sanders because they knew he was not a very good run stopper. You know what I mean? Yeah, they had to deal with Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. They had great games, but you needed to establish the run to keep them honest, and they didn't do that. They abandoned it. And today, in their postseason press conference, Jim Harbaugh puts it all on Lamar. It's like it's all his fault. John Harbaugh, my bad. Sorry. I always think of the better coach, Jim. Even though one beat him in the Super Bowl.
One has the Super Bowl and one doesn't.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. And one beat him in the Super Bowl. So it's a good point. All right, so John, I just like Jim better. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just like Jim better. He's basically blamed Lamar. He said we were running a lot of RPOs. We were running a lot of this. You know, it was Lamar's decision he was supposed to go up the line and make the adjustments. He blames Lamar Jackson. Because here's the thing, Caleb. John Harbaugh doesn't care about losing these games. You know why, Caleb?
I think he cares.
No, he cares, but in the sense that he knows he's not going to get blamed. In the 7 years Lamar Jackson's been there, it's always when they lose, it's Lamar Jackson's fault. Even though they keep losing the same way, it's a game plan problem, and you abandon your game plan and you don't adjust. For the past 7 years, the national media, even everyone on Twitter, it's always Lamar Jackson's fault. But if they're losing the same way with multiple different coordinators, and everyone keep pointing out, like, why didn't they stick to their game plan? Whose fault is it? It's John Harbaugh's. Did Lamar Jackson play good? Hell no. That horrible interception where he tried to make a play and he chucked it into triple coverage, even though there was a penalty on that play where someone committed pass interference. They missed the call. It was a horrible call. But why are you throwing into triple coverage? There's making a play, then there's making a play, then there's also saying screw it. You know, he chucked it into triple coverage and it was a pick. Like, you know, I'm a big fan of Lamar Jackson, but he didn't play good. Did he play like catastrophically bad? Like, no, he just didn't play. He didn't have a good game. But is it all his fault that they lost? No. But they keep losing the same way, Caleb. If the Packers kept losing the same way, well, No, the Cowboys. My bad. No, fuck the Packers. The Cowboys, which you have been losing the same way every year in the playoffs. Same players. But here's the thing. In your case,
always. I guess not always the same way.
It's always heartbreaking. Or like somebody doesn't. It's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the defense didn't show up. Sometimes the offense didn't show up.
That's a good point. Because last year the defense showed up and the offense didn't. And y'all lost like what, 16-13? That's a good point. But like, the Ravens keep losing the same way. It's always the same way. They don't establish the run. They get cute in the playoffs. And they're trying to do like, nah, man, get the line of scrimmage, establish it, run it down their throat. Is it going to be kind of hard running it down Chris Jones, George Karlaftis? Yeah, it is. But you got to try. 6 carries for your running backs. 6 carries. But then this also goes to Caleb, a personnel issue. Gus Edwards and Justice Hill can do good against Houston, but they can't be good against the Chiefs. Why? Because they're not good enough. So you need new players. You know what I mean? Because no offense, John Harbaugh ain't no offensive guru. He can't scheme up people. He's not Andy Reid. By the way, I want to talk about
coach. He's a special teams coach.
He's a special teams coach. Exactly. He was never, you know what I mean? So he needs somebody to scheme it up and do his things. And either Todd Monken didn't know what the hell he was, just completely forgot how to call a game, because the week before, Todd Monken had good adjustments in the second half to the Houston Texans. So Lamar didn't play good. That's a fact. But it was also John Harbaugh's fault that they lost the game, because they keep losing the same way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they need more people. Odell Beckham Jr. didn't show up. Rashard Bateman didn't play well. He didn't show up. Zay Flowers had a good game, minus the fumble, which brings it down to an okay game. They don't trust their running backs. They don't trust them. Why are they your running backs if you don't trust them? Either you draft one, because teams like Baltimore can draft a running back in the first round, and it makes sense because they're ready right now to win a Super Bowl. That's where you can do a luxury pick of a running back. Or you go get a running back on the market that's not going to get paid. You don't trust your running backs. 6 carries, Caleb. 6 carries.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And Steve Spagnuolo, man, that's the secret sauce. That's the secret sauce, man. You talking about Steve Spagnuolo that was tasked in 2007. You have to stop Tom Brady and Randy Moss. This offensive unit that broke all the records. Randy Moss had 27 receiving touchdowns. Tom Brady had 50 passing touchdowns. They were cooking. It's your job to stop them. And Steve Spagnuolo was given 2 weeks to figure out a game plan. And in 2 weeks, he shut that offense down. 14 points in that Super Bowl. 14 points. Spags is a big game defensive coordinator. Big game defensive coordinator. He is the secret sauce. And by the way, man, I'm not a big fan of this rebrand that Andy Reid got. You know what I mean? Everyone liked Andy Reid. Oh, he's Big Red. Andy Reid, he likes a cheeseburger. Screw Andy Reid. This podcast is not. This is an anti-Andy Reid podcast. You're damn right it is. All right. I'm not gonna just forget his years in Philly. No, absolutely not. I will never, ever root for this man. That's why I'm rooting for the Niners.
Yeah, I'm not rooting for the Niners at all.
Well, no, of course, because you're a Cowboys fan, so your hatred is a little bit more deeper with the Niners, because they've ruined your life more than once. But me, the Niners have never ruined my life. You know what I mean? My team has actually ruined the Niners' life, which is fun, which is cool. You know what I mean? By the way, speaking of that, the Niners and the Giants were 11-11 in the playoffs and 22-21 in the regular season. So we're basically even. This 22nd win was this year when we went to when we went to Candlestick, when we went to Levi's and we lost on Thursday night. but before that game, it was 21 for 21 and 11 for 11. So yeah, I'm anti Andy Reid. I don't care. All right. I don't care. All right. So Caleb, I want to talk about some of this Chiefs game too that I found very fascinating. For the game, Justin Tucker was warming up at the 1 yard line. He's kicking. He has his helmet at the 1 yard line. He's kicking, right? There's been reports that he always does this. He's always warming up around that area. You know, which is fine. But I always find it a little weird because, like, why are you warming up at like the 5 yard line, kicking field goals when you know extra points are 33 yards? So shouldn't you?
Yeah, but you can have a field goal from the 5 yard line.
Yeah, but does Justin Tucker need to practice a field goal from the 5 yard line? Does he really need
to get warmed up? That's what I mean. They always start. They always start close, and they go back.
Then they move back. Yeah. You know, basic. You're right. Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes didn't appreciate why he was there, and they grabbed his footballs and his kicking tee and threw it away. And they also kicked his helmet. All right. Yeah. So Big Reg says the other kicker was warming up at the same spot on the other side. It's a good point, Reg. My key is Caleb. They went in there and they wanted to punk Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker is a symbol of the Ravens organization. He's been there for 12 years. He's a symbol. Everyone knows. You say Justin Tucker, you know, you think Ravens. So they punked one of the symbols of the team. And my thing is this, you know, Roquan Smith kept coming out during the week talking about, hey man, you know, it doesn't matter if you're my uncle, my nephew, my aunt, I'm gonna take you out. Caleb, if I heard that, they punked my kicker. Justin Tucker just laughed it off. But I know they were trying to get into the Ravens mentally. I'm starting a brawl at the beginning of the game, during warmups.
Well, didn't they have a fight before the game?
You damn right. If I heard that happened, or I saw that happen, I'm running after Travis Kelce. I'm running after him because you got punked and you didn't respond. Sometimes a little fight's okay. A little fight's okay. If that happened to my kicker, Caleb, let's say that happened to Brandon Aubrey in the Packers game, and Rashawn Gary shoves Brandon Aubrey out the way and like kicks him off, and none of your teammates come and defend Brandon Aubrey. Nobody. No Micah Parsons, no Dexter Lawrence, no Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb. Huh?
That's on your team. Dexter Lawrence is on your team.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. He's the good Dexter. I apologize.
His name's not Dexter, so.
No, what's yours is Tank, right? What's your Lawrence?
DeMarcus.
My bad. Sorry. When I think Lawrence, I think Dexter because, you know, Dexter's the best defensive tackle in the NFL.
Why would you think Dexter? Why would you not Lawrence Taylor?
Damn it. You got me. Yeah, you got me. Sorry. Yeah, but here's the thing. You know, if Tank heard they try to punk, tell me, Caleb, if Tank Lawrence or Micah or Dak or your offensive lineman, they heard the Packers punked Brandon Aubrey before the game during warmups, and you heard that none of them responded, nobody cared, and they kind of just like moved away. There was no pushing and shoving. There was no getting in their face. Like they didn't even like. No Ravens players went in his got in his face and said, "Hey, yo, man, what's up with that? You trying what you trying to do? You trying to funk?" And no little, do I want to like fully fight? You know, if that happens, it's whatever. But like no pushing, no shoving, no getting in each other's face. They just let him do it. How would you feel?
I mean, it's the kicker.
Yo, y'all gotta stop saying that, man. Y'all gotta stop saying that. He's not just no ordinary kicker. This is Justin Tucker. He's not Jake Mooney of the Niners who just showed up. This is Justin Tucker, bro. I'm sorry, Caleb. If this happened to Graham Gano and nobody defended Graham Gano, I'm gonna have an issue. This isn't just some random kicker that he got off the street. This isn't Cade York. You know what I mean? This is Justin Tucker. You let him get punked before the game. by Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. He didn't get punked by Chris Jones or any of the defense players who are kind of scary. You got punked by Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. You let that happen at your house. You let that. That's an issue. That's an issue.
Is it? Is it?
It's an issue. Yeah, it's an issue. This isn't some random. Yo, y'all gotta stop treating Justin Tucker like he's a random kicker. This is Justin Tucker, man.
He is a kicker.
It's Justin Tucker. Stop with that. It's a kicker shit.
Kicker.
There's exceptions to the rule to this kicker shit. By the way, who cares if they're a kicker? They're still your teammate.
Barely.
You know what? That people like you, that's the problem. People like you, that's the problem. Y'all keep, man, punters are people too. Kickers
they barely interact with the rest of the team.
So y'all treat them like they nobodies, but when they miss a kick, y'all always trying to kill them. If they're nobodies, why does it matter?
Job.
Okay, then, but y'all don't treat them like members of the team or family or like close. So who gives a shit if they miss a field goal if they don't really matter?
Because you lose the game because they have.
But you keep telling me they don't really matter. They're kickers. Who cares? So you can't have it both ways, Caleb. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
That's called diabetes.
Do their job, but doesn't mean they're like a real.
Also, so when your offensive members don't do their jobs, why
they
do people
more
defend
than one
them?
Job that they practice. They have
more than one, what do you mean?
Jobs.
Dak Prescott's job is to pass the ball to wide open wide receivers.
No,
he played like shit against the Packers.
To lead the team. It's to diagnose the defense. There's a lot of different things to do. To call out line protections. I mean, he has a lot of different things he has to do. The kicker's job is to just kick it. And
CeeDee Lamb's job is just to catch footballs.
No, he has to run routes. He has to block sometimes. He has different things to do.
Yes, whatever. Nah, man, I don't agree. I don't agree. This is Justin Tucker. It's Justin Tucker.
The kicker.
Yeah. No, I don't agree. I don't say, well, you know what? I guess we're not gonna agree on this. I'm sorry, like you're not punking my teammate. Kicker or long snapper, from the long snapper to the quarterback, you're not gonna punk my teammate.
Like half teammate.
No, Caleb. No.
I mean, he's technically on the team, but I mean.
Oh my God! See, you know what? You're a sack of shit. You know that? Yeah, I don't care. I tried to be professional, but you pissed me off. You're pissing me off. You know what? This is nonsense. It's nonsense, bro. How you let him do that? How you let Travis Kelce do that? It's Travis Kelce. He don't intimidate nobody.
Big guy.
He's just tall. He ain't crazy. And you let him and Patrick Mahomes do it. Imagine Patrick Mahomes trying to punk you with his voice. I would laugh, even if I was a kicker. I'm like, excuse me? Nobody went across the field to be like, hey man, what you doing? It's not even about the kicker, Caleb. It's about the principle of they disrespecting a Ravens player. Like, they punking a Ravens player.
I mean, he has a jersey, but I mean,
oh my God, you and this. You know what, Caleb? Did you even play?
To play what?
Football.
In high school.
Caleb, if that happened to you and we were on the same football team, I would have had a problem.
I mean, I don't play kicker.
Yeah, you played right back?
No, that was defensive end.
Yeah, you got right back on that bench, didn't you?
No, that was defensive end.
Played D tackle. I'll protect my kickers. Because I believe in the team.
Well, back then, I mean, the kicker was also another player. He had multiple positions. He wasn't just a kicker.
In high school?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we did. Yeah.
The kicker was never just a kicker.
No, our kicker was just
like who can kick.
Yeah, our kicker was just a kicker. We had like a dedicated kicker.
I mean, we didn't have that. We just whoever can kick the best.
Yeah, no, we haven't. Now, bro, you gotta protect your teammates. Doesn't matter. Gotta protect them. And that was my issue. That's when I think the Ravens lost the game. When they came into your house, punked one of your symbols, like one of your talismans of your team. The longest, I believe he's the longest tenured Raven on that team at 12 years. I believe. and y'all did nothing. Y'all literally did nothing. Roquan Smith talking about how anybody can get it. My aunt, my uncle, my nephew, anybody can get it. I don't care. He didn't. He let two dudes walk into a stadium and punk one of his teammates, and then and do nothing about it. Get out of here, man. That's when they lost the game. That's when they lost the game. All right, let's move on to a team that almost made history, but then were denied greatness, Caleb.
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions, man. Lost to the San Francisco 49ers 34-31. It was a great game. Definitely a tale of two halves, if you believe in cliches. Going into halftime, the Detroit Lions were up 24-7. 24-7. They only scored a touchdown in the second half towards the end, and the Niners just got right back into it in that third quarter, dropping 17. Caleb, when you were watching the game, give me your initial moments of the first half. What were you going through? Were you going through like, oh my God?
I thought I was going through deja vu because it's very similar to the previous week against the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
It looked exactly the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference was that the Packers were finishing their drives. They didn't score the touchdowns. They had to resort to kicking field goals. But in this game, the Lions were able to finish the drives and score touchdowns. But both games, in the first, well, pretty much throughout the game, the Lions were able to go up and down the field on that 49ers defense in both those games. And that's why it's like, this is exactly the same game. I'm watching the exact same game. It's just because the Niners only scored 7 points in the first half in the Packers game, and they only scored 7 points in this Lions game. So it was the exact same game that we were watching, the other offense going up and down the field on them. And then the second half, then they make a great comeback, and that's exactly what they did against the Packers. They made a great comeback, and they won the game. So yeah, I mean, and exactly what happened was Brock Purdy played bad for most of the game. He had a couple good drives that got them the lead, and that happened in both games. I think for most of the game he did not play well, and that's why I'm talking about. Like you asked me last week, do I trust him to win this game? He ultimately did, but again, he was
put them in the
doing
position,
a lot of stuff to try to lose that game because some of those should have been horrible passes that should have been picked off and that they weren't. And it could have been even worse if the dumb decisions that Dan Campbell made to go on fourth every goddamn drive could have made the lead not winnable for the 49ers. Especially the one I hate. You go for other fourth downs, but the one I hate is to go for it after a turnover. I hate that. That's the number one thing I hate. I don't care what the analytics say. Do not waste a turnover. Don't waste a turnover. If you get a turnover and you get in scoring position, kick the field goal. Kick the field goal. Do not waste that turnover. You get a possession, you steal a possession, and then you just give it right back. I hate that. I hate when coaches do that. Do not waste it. Get some points out of that turnover.
Yeah. I can see why. Dude. Okay, so it was, I think, Caleb, I think you can remember this, right? I think it was 3rd and 13. The Lions converted. 3rd and 15. The Lions converted. Then it was 3rd and 19 or 18. And the Lions converted. And I'm like, yo, this is over, man. Lions winning. Because how do you do that? Everything's bouncing your way. Literally. So someone on Twitter famously said, I think during the game was like, I have never seen God abandon a team so quickly during this game. Because in the first half, God was with them. Everything was bouncing their way. They're doing everything. And then by the second half, God was like, nah, I'm good. I'm out. I'm gonna go to sleep. And he like fell asleep, and like everything went wrong in the second half. Fumbles by Jahmyr Gibbs. Y'all were constantly going on 4th down during the season, and y'all were converting. You know what I mean? But now everything is not bouncing the way. It's slimmer margins. And I'm with you, Caleb. I keep telling Niners fans this, and I keep telling everybody this. Brock Purdy's not the key to this team. It is 23. It is Christian McCaffrey. He is the one. He is the key to this team. He is the engine that makes this team run. He is the man. He's the man. 20 carries, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brock Purdy had some pretty great plays using his feet, scrambling, extending drives. He played well at certain points of the game. He played well in the second half, but in the first half, he looked like he didn't deserve to be there. But this is what a great roster does for you. You pick everybody up. You elevate everybody. They simplified it in the second half. They ran the ball. They kept everything short. And they got a bounce, right? Brock Purdy throws an interception deep down the field. Lions player just needs to catch it.
Yeah.
It hits him in his face mask, and it bounces up. And all you see is Brandon Ayuk dive for it, and he catches it. That's a Brandon Ayuk play. That's keeping your head up and diving for the ball. Brandon Ayuk had a great game. He didn't play well in the first half. No, he didn't. But in the second half, he created the plays. He only had 3 catches for 68 yards, but they were 3 big catches and a touchdown. One of those catches was a touchdown. Deebo Samuel is Deebo Samuel. You throw it to him, you give it to him short, he runs, he gets you 10. He kept everything in front. Great play, Brock Purdy. Great Brock Purdy play, where he scrambles out and he's trying to find somebody. He finds Kyle Juszczyk and he slings it. Juszczyk with a great catch, toe drag swag on the sidelines, kept it in bounds. Brock Purdy was playing good. Brock Purdy, but here's the thing too, man. I think I'm gonna do what you do with Dak Prescott. In the first half, nobody was playing good for the Niners, right? Just like we talked about with Dak Prescott. Oh, he played bad, but everyone else also played bad. In the first half, Brock Purdy was playing bad. Deebo Samuel was playing bad. CMC was not looking like CMC. Brandon Ayuk was non-existent. George Kittle, what the hell are you doing? Kyle Juszczyk, what's up with this? You know what I mean? And then I don't know what happened at halftime. Kyle Shanahan must have probably reminded him, like, hey, y'all do know you're the San Francisco 49ers, right? Like, you do know we're better than them, right? Like, what's going on? And in the second half, it just felt like they knew who they were and were like, dude, we're the Niners, bro. We've already beaten this team. We've beaten the living shit out of this team. And it showed in the second half. Christian McCaffrey is the key. He's the key. Like I said last week, Detroit's going to make Brock Purdy beat them because they have a good run defense, but their back end's very suspect. And it showed. Their back end was very suspect. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson didn't play well in the second half. Brian Branch didn't have a Brian Branch game. Their corners were The safety who has an interception that lets it hit him in the face. I don't know what his name is. He doesn't want me to know his name is because I will make fun of him forever for it. And that's what happened. Their back end was suspect. So they couldn't stack the box like that because they needed to protect the back end. And then when they didn't stack the box, guess what happened? CMC, 2 touchdowns, 4.5 yards a carry. They stuck to their identity. Unlike the Ravens, who were the best running team in the NFL, we're like, we're not gonna do our identity. The Niners stick to their identity. Brock Purdy was like, oh, Brock Purdy has so many yards, but has less attempts. Why? Because the Niners are a running team. They run the ball. That's what they want. Kyle Shanahan loves running the ball. That's the thing people, that's the problem. That was the problem with Kyle in Atlanta. He tried to show people that he was a passing guru, right? And in the Super Bowl, when they were running the ball effectively, matching up with play action in the first half, they go up 28-3. And they should have kept running the ball in the second half. That's the key for the Lions. A lot of the Lions' rushing stats, Caleb, came in the first half. You needed to continue running the ball as the game went along. You're up 24-7. There isn't a lot of time in the game. Run the ball, waste the clock. Niners defense didn't play good at all. Fred Warner was missing tackles in the first half. Nick Bosa wasn't playing good. Javon Hargrave was non-existent. Eric Armstead was non-existent. until the second half where he recovered the fumble. The whole team was playing like dog doo-doo in the first half. And then at halftime, somebody came in and said, y'all know y'all the number one seed San Francisco 49ers, right? Y'all know you already beat this team, right? What the hell are we doing right now? Come on, let's go home. And then they're like, all right, good point. Let's go home. And that's what happened. That's what happened. Everyone just started playing better in the second half. And it's soul crushing for the Lions. We can talk Dan Campbell this, Dan Campbell that. On that fourth down, Josh Reynolds is wide open. All Josh Reynolds needs to do, Caleb, is catch the ball. So that's not Dan Campbell's fault. They drop a great play. You're wide open. Now it's time for you to catch the ball. So that fourth down, people be like, oh, why did he go for it on fourth down? The wide receiver was open. Everything was there. Everything was there for the taking.
But that's why you don't go for it, because that can happen.
That someone not doing their job correctly?
Yes.
Dropping a wide open pass?
That's the chance you take.
You're right about that.
I mean, it's happened. I saw, the Cowboys. I mean, we went for a fourth down. Guy was open, didn't make the play, but that's the chance you take.
Yeah.
That's why you don't go for a fourth down.
But here's the thing, Caleb. Here's the thing, Caleb. Their kicker from 48 is a 45% accuracy rate. So they missed the field goal. It's you take the chance that he's probably going to miss the field goal. I've never seen Michael Badgley for the Lions kick anything above 45. He probably has, but I've never seen it. I have never seen it. He probably has, but I've never seen it. But when you're telling me that he's a 45% from 48 plus, and this field goes 48, and he's like, I'm gonna go for it instead. Because let's say he kicks it and misses it. What do people say? You missed a field goal. Why would you do that? He's a 48% percentage from 48. It's a damn if you do, damn if you don't. Because if he
just blame it on the kicker at that point, you don't have to take all the brunt of the decision.
We can blame. Okay, so you can blame the kicker. Why don't we blame Josh Reynolds? Josh Reynolds' fault.
Yeah, but it's also your fault for going for it.
Yeah, but you do everything correctly. Josh Reynolds just didn't do his job. So it's Josh Reynolds' fault. Same thing with the kicker. You do everything correctly. No, but you do in the kick, you do everything correctly. You block for him. Kick is good. He misses the kick. It's his fault. Same thing with the fourth down. You do everything correct. Good pocket for Jared Goff. Wide receivers open. Catch the ball. Josh Reynolds' fault. I'm not blaming Dan Campbell. You got to make the plays. At the end of the day, Caleb, it's all about the Jimmies and the Joes. You got to make the plays. Dan Campbell did everything correct. He got his player wide open. You got to catch the ball. Josh Reynolds' fault. I'm not blaming Dan Campbell. It's not happening. Not happening. But now, Caleb, no, fine. You can blame whatever. We can agree to disagree, but you're wrong. It's fine. Okay. Now let's preview it, Caleb. It's a rematch of Super Bowl 53. What Super Bowl was this?
I don't know. Was it 2019 or the 2019 season?
So, Caleb, take me who you think is gonna win and what keys are you going with?
We gotta pick now. We have a whole week. We can pick it on next episode.
That's a good point. All right, let's just talk about. Did you saw this coming? Did everyone see this coming? Was this was everyone's prediction at the beginning of the year, right?
I mean, a lot of predictions with Chiefs 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's I could see that going. I mean, Chiefs obviously especially the Chiefs on the Chiefs side. I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I didn't think anybody was gonna beat him in the playoffs. Before the season. So I definitely thought that. 49ers, it could have been a lot of different teams in the NFC just because it's NFC. And then I really didn't believe in Brock Purdy all that much, but he's here. He did it and got here. But so I did. Like I said, I think it's a better matchup than what we have got if there was any of the Ravens. Ravens, Lions, Ravens, 49ers. Chiefs Lions would have been I would like to see what happened, because that first game they didn't have Travis Kelce and Kadarius Toney blew the game for them that first game. So I would like to see that matchup. ultimately, we got this matchup. We got Chiefs Niners. Like I said, I think the Chiefs have a better quarterback. I think that's the most important position and the most important driving force of of your chances of winning the game. Um, and I think their defense is playing better. I mean, they stopped what I thought was an unstoppable force and what the Ravens were doing. They've been playing great all season. I mean, I didn't think the Chiefs. I always thought in the past years, I always thought it was because Mahomes was making up for the defense not being good. Because I never thought the Chiefs defense was good. I always thought it was Mahomes covering their ass. And now we saw in multiple games this season, it was the opposite. The defense was carrying the Chiefs, and especially in big parts of the game.
In Spags, we
So
trust, bro.
we saw in the second half of this last past game, the Chiefs didn't score any points, but the defense, kept had them winning the game because they didn't allow the Ravens to score very much.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I really trust in their defense. Obviously, the Niners have players, they have names, and they have all these, great talent. But in the past couple of weeks, we see them getting, ran through by both the Packers and the Lions offense, just up and down the field on them and scoring a lot of points on them. So, yeah, so that's how I see this matchup, but still iffy on who I'm going to take because, like you said, it's just the talented roster versus the quarterback, and who I think is playing better is where I'm teetering.
Yeah, because you still gotta like figure out the health of certain players and the keys of certain players. By the way, the Niners lost in Super Bowl 54 against the Chiefs, so Super Bowl 54. So there's that.
Yeah, I'm definitely rooting for the Chiefs, obviously, because I hate the Niners, and
yeah.
So
all I'll say is this, man. It's a very bad day to be a Raiders fan. Like, imagine that, Caleb. Imagine, Caleb. It's like if the Super Bowl was hosted in Dallas, and it was the Giants against Pittsburgh on your stadium.
I'm picking the Giants.
Well, thank you, but
I'm rooting for the Giants.
Well, thank you, but
I'm rooting for the Giants.
Yeah,
not because I hate the
that's
Giants.
That's
I
how
hate the
bad it
Giants
is.
more.
Yeah,
but I don't want the Steelers to win another Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, and also too, you guys have that that arrogant thing where it's like we're the Steelers, we have 6 Super Bowls, we're actually America's team, and then we're the Cowboys, we're actually America's team because we're good at promotion. And then y'all like fight each other in the 70s, and it was a good rivalry back then. But I could, because honestly, you hate Cowboys, hate the Niners, the Eagles. Well, the thing is, the Giants and the Eagles can't play in the Super Bowl against each other. So like that, like that's how much the Raiders. Well, actually, it's exactly like that. The Raiders hate the Chiefs and the Niners. They hate them the most. It's like if the Eagles in the Giants played at
what is the Giants' most hated AFC team?
They don't have one. That's the thing. They
Well,
don't.
What for you personally?
For me,
I would hate the Steelers probably the most on the AFC side.
Yeah.
Or the Patriots, but they don't want Brady anymore. But I used to hate the Patriots when they had Brady the most.
And I never really hated the Patriots because we beat them more than once. So like, hate them for what? Took 2 Super Bowls from them. We're their daddies. Dang, who is it? An AFC team I don't like. By default, it has to be the Ravens, really, because of the Super Bowl. It's the Super Bowl in 2000. They always bring up the Super Bowl in 2000 where they beat the shit out of Kerry Collins. But out of every other AFC team, no one's ever really scarred. I hate the Steelers. I don't like them. I hate them so much. They annoy me. I hate them. I don't like them at all. Well, one, it's a bit of jealousy, but 2, their fans annoy me. I hate their fans. Like they just it's just like, Jesus, shut the hell up. You know what I mean? Because they think they're like this symbol of perfection or something. Like, no, you're not. All your Super Bowls happened in the 70s.
I mean, 2000s.
4 of the 6 were in the 70s. The NFL was different in the 70s. So miss me with your dynasty bullshit. Like the Giants at least have Super Bowls in like 4 different decades. We got one in the 80s, we got one in the 90s, we got one in the 2000s, and we got ones in the 2010s. At least we most of your Super Bowls are in the 70s, in a span of like 7 years. And then when the 80s hit, you were nothing. You were nothing. You won nothing. The 90s hit, you still won nothing. You made a Super Bowl appearance, but you didn't win. You know what I mean? That's my thing, bro. Like, you're not all that. Like, you're not. And, in Baltimore, too. You keep bringing up Super Bowl in 2000. Man, shut the hell up. I don't give a shit. I wasn't born yet. Actually, I was, but that's not the point. The point is, I don't care. So shove it up. Shove it up where the sun don't shine. I don't give a damn. Oh, we're the 2000 Ravens. We beat the shit out of you. Our defense is legendary. Nah, 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 nah. Now, my fault. George Fossil didn't want to run the ball, and they'd be like, "Oh, the reason you couldn't run the ball is that we stopped the
You just call
run."
him George Fossil.
I think that's his name. Jim. It's Jim Fossil. Sorry, it's Jim. Sorry to Jim. Sorry, Jim. I apologize, Jim. Yeah, they're like, "Oh, the reason you passed is that we stopped the run." Blah, 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 blah. We blah, 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 blah. Ray Lewis, Jonathan Ogden, blah 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 blah. Shut up. Shut up. So yeah,
can we talk? Are you still on the preview?
No, with previews over. We can't really. We're gonna pick our teams. We're gonna pick the victors next week.
Yeah. Okay. So can we get into the NFC East news?
Yes, we can. Yeah, thank you, Caleb, bringing it up. I completely forgot about the Washington Commanders and Adam Peters hired defensive coordinator out of Dallas, Dan Quinn. I don't give a shit, but I should, because Dan Quinn's defenses have made the New York Giants' lives the living hell for the past couple of years. But I think that's more of a Giants thing than a Dan Quinn thing. But
yeah, I mean, look at the talent.
But Dallas Cowboys fans are happy that he's gone, because they are happy. Y'all don't like. He had good moments, but overall in the keys, when the big games, he choked, floundered. Nothing happened except the Niners game.
You saw the consistent decline.
Yes.
That was happening. Like, he started off really hot, and like I said, I give him all the credit in the world for turning around this. This was the all-time worst defense in Cowboys history, and turned it around and made it something really, really good. I mean, he had the most turnovers for 2 straight years. That's really hard to do. So yeah, I give him all the credit. But it's just, you can see the decline of our defense just wasn't that good this year. We didn't lead the turnovers anymore. We didn't have a lot of sacks as we did the previous season. And then we got our ass handed to us in the playoff game against the Packers, where they just just tore us apart on defense. I mean,
ran the ball down your throat.
I don't want to go through it again. And that's been the consistent thing, that we can't stop the run. He might have better. He might do better with that, since, I mean, you got 2 really good defensive tackles on Washington, with both Payne and Jonathan Allen. So he probably has a better if he does a scheme there, it might work out better for him. But he doesn't have the talent that the Cowboys had on the other positions. So we'll see how that goes for. But don't you think this is exactly the same coach? Didn't they just hire Ron Rivera again?
Yep.
I mean, they have the same resume. They're a coach that's really good defensive coordinator who got to a Super Bowl as a head coach.
Yes.
And
didn't do anything after that.
Like, they literally just hired Ron Rivera again. Like, what are they doing?
So there's also another big news about the Giants related, because of our defense coordinator position. I want to shout out people. So shout out to Sal, who's not a content creator, on Giants Twitter. Shout out to him, where he posted. Let me find the tweet, because I saw it yesterday. It was hilarious, because it was pure hateration, and I completely loved what he was doing. So he posted 3 photos without context. It was Paxton Lynch Trey Lance and Dan Quinn. He said posted without context. But I know what the context was. The context was Adam Peters, the new GM of the Washington Commanders football team, was the main guy in all three transactions. He was the reason Paxton Lynch was drafted in Denver. He was one of the driving forces of them trading for Trey Lance in San Francisco, and he hired Dan Quinn in DC. So everyone loved Adam Peters as their GM, but then the thing with Adam Peters is he's a conundrum because those are two of them are massive mistakes, Paxton Lynch and Trey Lance. And Dan Quinn, we'll see if he reinvents himself and, improves and sheds the Ron Rivera label. But with Adam Peters, he's also very good at building and finding gems. He's helped Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, a couple late round picks the Niners drafted. He was one of the main forces. So he has that to counterbalance the two QB mishaps he had in Paxton Lynch and Trey Lance. He has, I can build a good roster, but QB, I don't know. So it's that balance as well as, yeah, man, I don't know what the Commanders are doing.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why Dan Quinn had so much success with the Falcons is because he had Cal Shanahan as his offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And, Matt Ryan, who's a pretty decent quarterback.
Yep.
You don't have that in DC. You don't have. I don't know how you just find another Kyle Shanahan to run your offense, and I don't know what quarterback you're going to get that's going to do anything for y'all. Obviously, you're going to have to draft one, and that's what I think. I don't like unless you're going to get a great offensive coordinator. I don't like a head coach of being a defensive guy with a young quarterback. It usually doesn't work out. Where it worked out for the Texans this year, but that's not usually the norm. Usually it's a pretty bad disaster. I mean, you can see what happened with the Chargers, Brandon Staley with Justin Herbert, not good fit. And Justin Fields with Matt Eberflus was a disaster. A lot of young quarterbacks with defensive coaches don't pan out. And I don't think it will. Whoever they draft with Dan Quinn, just not. I don't think it's going to work out. So it's going to be a good time. Good things for the Cowboys and the Giants. And another good thing that happened for us was our old friend Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator.
He's back
for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
And that's just exciting news because he sucks.
I think I have. I think I got I think I got one of Philly's new playbooks. Caleb, I think I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, there. Oh, got him. Oh, what is it? Yep. Yeah. But guys, before we get into it, and I give you my thoughts. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're at 126 subscribers, trying to get to 130. Make sure to hit that notification bell to make sure that when we go live. Make sure to do that as well. But yeah, man, it's just the NFC East are doing retreads, I guess. I don't know what the hell Nick Sirianni's doing. You know what I mean? Like, they're in shambles, bro. They're in shambles. They let us, they are not. Something's broken in Philly. And it makes sense, right? Because Denard Wilson, connecting to the story I'm about to tell, leaves Philly for Baltimore. And now he's in Tennessee as their defensive coordinator. Something's broken. It's either Nick Sirianni. I think it clearly sees that team, Nick Sirianni was the head coach, and he did head coaching duties. But he let his defensive coordinator and his offensive coordinator run their sides of the ball. Jonathan Gannon, Shane Steichman, they had ultimate power on their side of the ball. And what it did for Philly, it was great for Philly. They made the Super Bowl. It was phenomenal. They got out-coached by Nick in the second half by Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid when they found the route that beat their team more than once. That zig route where it was like motion them down the line, then pop out real quick to make sure to create the mismatch of the. So they out-coached Jonathan Gannon. Shane Steichman, He didn't get out coached in the Super Bowl. His offense dropped 30. And Indianapolis was like, I want him. So they made a great choice. Yeah, and Nick Sirianni, man, if he doesn't fix it, man, he's fired. I think he's gone in like 2 years if he doesn't fix it.
Yeah,
He's
I mean
gone.
that offense is just gonna get worse. Like I've
It's
seen
not
it.
going to
Like
be good.
I mean, you can even just tell. I mean, look what happened. Kellen Moore in his final season in Dallas, Dak Prescott throws a bunch of interceptions. Year he leaves, Dak Prescott has the best year of his career, and then Justin Herbert inversely has the worst year of his career under Kellen Moore. Does that not prove that how right I was that Kellen Moore is not a good offensive coordinator? I don't know why he got hired. He shouldn't have got hired at the Cowboys in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't know how you
Chargers
go
messed
from
up.
backup quarterback to quarterbacks coach, and then 1 year of quarterbacks coach to play calling to an offensive coordinator. Like
he got supercharged. They thought he was this guru. They thought the Cowboys thought that they're creating their own Sean McVay. They thought, but they didn't, and it didn't work. It blew up in their face. For every Sean McVays, there are failed Sean McVays. You know how many failed Sean McVays there are? A bunch. Lane Kiffin was a failure in the NFL, and he was the youngest head coach ever before Sean McVay showed up. And Al Davis still hates him to this day. In his grave, he hates Lane Kiffin's guts. I have grown to love Lane Kiffin, but in that moment, he was bad. He failed. He's a failure. It happens. You know, it's like calling Nick Saban a failure in the NFL. You're right. He was a failure in the NFL. And yeah, man. So connected to Denard Wilson news, the Giants are supposed to have their defensive coordinator by the end of the week. So by tomorrow, we're gonna get like the latest. We should be having it. Apparently, Denard Wilson. Shout out to my main man, Authentic. This is from him. He's plugged in into that region. Denard Wilson is from DC, Maryland, the Washington, Maryland area. And Authentic is also, and he's plugged in. He said this: the Giants offered him the job. The Giants, it was his job to have. You know, like that, it was his job. But then the thing is, they already had a lot of defensive personnel in place. And it seemed like, you know, from the video, Denard Wilson didn't want that. He wanted his guys. He wanted to work with his people, which, you know, understandable. People he trusts and he wants to do it. As well as he didn't think that Brian Daboll's job is safe. He thought, I think the quote was, let me find the quote. Give me one moment. Right here. So yeah, so the quote was, it was his job to have, from Authentic. Shout out to Authentic. Yeah, so the defensive staff was already set. A lot of them were people he never worked with. So he really was kind of trepidatious, from Authentic. Shout out to Authentic. And then here it is. This is the quote that I'm really focused on. The quote was from the source via Authentic. Says, no one wants to be a part of a potential one and done. So people in the league do not believe Denard Wilson's probably his crew is one of them. Him and his group, they think Brian Daboll's on the hot seat, and they think it's a potential one and done. So if they think that, who else thinks that?
Do you think that?
I don't think that, because John Mara wants to break the fire coaches in like 3 years stigma. So he's probably going to give him another year. I think he's going to go give him like 4 years, and then it's time to go.
Yeah,
you know
I agree.
what I mean?
I think he gets another year because of the quarterback situation.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure out that you can't put the Giants' success all on him if they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah,
that they can really win with. I think if they get whether they draft one or they get sign one or whatever, then he doesn't win, then he's fired.
Yeah. So exactly. So like that's the key right there. So Denard Wilson his camp is like, this is potentially a one and done. He may get fired. And if his camp thinks that, how many other defensive coordinators camps think that? Because Leslie Frazier, Caleb, just took the job in as associate head coach in Seattle. And Leslie Frazier knows Brian Daboll, and he's worked with Brian Daboll, but he's never worked under Brian Daboll. And he doesn't want to be at a ship that may be sinking. So that's the key. We're thinking, like, if people in the NFL do not believe that Brian Daboll is coming back, that's why they're not taking the job right away. Honestly, if that's the key, man, you're wasting so much time. You could have already hired within. Jerome Henderson is there. Andre Patterson is there. They've never called defensive plays, but we'll see. They said by the end of the week we should have our decision. So we'll see by the end of the week. But speaking of the end of the week, it is the end of the show. Caleb.
Oh, wait, I got one more.
Oh, hit me, Caleb.
Well, just because we have a vacancy, we're also looking for a decent coordinator.
There's
been a lot of different names thrown out there. Obviously, the favorite is Joe Witt, who was an assistant to Dan Quinn. They, obviously that would be an easier promotion. Do I want that? No. Trayvon Diggs came out and said that his vote is for Al Harris. That's who I want. I'd rather
the DB coach.
Yes. Because I think what he's done with the DBs is
tremendous.
What you did with Trayvon Diggs to Deron Bland and how many interceptions. I mean, that's you did that with two different guys, two different guys, all pros. That's really amazing. I think he's done a hell of a job. So I would give it to him if it was up to me. But if you don't want to get either one of those guys, someone from the outside, obviously Mike Vrabel's still out there. I mean, you can get him for maybe 1 year.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Here's the thing, Caleb. You sound Mike Vrabel as a DC. Is he gonna do some machinations to get Mike McCarthy fired to take his job?
I hope so.
Yeah,
but I hope he does.
And then the point is, then why don't you just fire Mike McCarthy then?
Well, I'm not in charge of the Cowboys.
That's the thing. Jerry's not gonna do that. He's not gonna do that because he hires Mike Vrabel. Mike McCarthy's gonna be like, "Yo, is this man gonna replace me?"
I hope so.
And that's not gonna happen. That would be funny if it did happen, because that'll be straight chaos, and it'll be great television. But I'm with you on that. I think that give it to Al Harris. How long has Al Harris been a DB coach though?
Since Mike McCarthy's been there. Mike McCarthy brought him in.
No. But before that, like, was he not he wasn't a coach before that?
No, no. Mike McCarthy made him the coach.
He was. He was assistant, secondary, and defensive assistant for Kansas City for 5 years.
Okay.
So then he came to Dallas in 2020 as the primary defensive backs coach.
Yeah, because obviously he played for Mike McCarthy.
He played for Mike in
McCarthy's guy.
The Packers, yeah.
So I mean, if he has that relation with Mike McCarthy, that's why I think it's a great fit for our defense, and I want to see what he can do. I want to see him get me. He has a lot of experience, and like you said, he had a job before that, so why not give him a shot at being the coordinator?
Time out. Was he with Spags? He wasn't with Spags. Was he with Steve Spagnuolo in 2013? How long has Steve Spagnuolo been in Kansas City? Let me check.
I have no idea.
Let me check. Because if it wasn't, because he was either with Spags or he was with the guy that Spags was fired for. Oh yeah. So he was with 2013. So he was with the guy before Spags, and then spent 2 years with Spags, and then left for Dallas because he got a promotion in Dallas. Yeah. Spags, by the way, was taught by Jim Johnson, who was Philly's longtime defensive coordinator. God rest his soul. Oh, a Streamlabs was sent. Oh snap, we got a Streamlabs. Let me check up the Streamlabs. Shout out to Shug. I don't have the OBS camera on, so there was no graphic. I apologize. So here it is. Shout out to Shug. Says much love to Ferris and Caleb from your favorite Latino.
But you're not a Mexican.
All right. Well, he said Latino.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
Latino, just not
Yeah.
Mexican. Just want to
Yeah.
make the distinction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, appreciate it anyways.
But yeah, but we appreciate everybody showing up. But we're about to head out. We're about an hour over an hour. So, Caleb, where can people find you, my man?
You can find me on Twitter/X and Instagram at NFLCable22. And you can find me on this channel for one more week because this is our last episode of the season on betting the NFL on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. It's going to be a big Super Bowl stream for you guys. We're going to give you all the prop bets we can find. Obviously, we're going to give you who's going to win the game, the over and under. So you want to, and obviously, MVP and all that stuff. So just tons of prop bets for you guys. Lots of opportunities to make money. I mean, this is the biggest betted game of the year. It's the most bet
Yep.
game of the year of any sport, of anything
Mm.
in the world. I mean, it's going to be in Vegas. There's going to be probably even more money because of that fact. Betting. There's going to be so much goddamn gambling going on this week. And it's going to be a fun time. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to help you guys win money on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So tune in.
All right, guys. It's your boy Ferris. Today, 8 o'clock Pacific. You can find me on our entertainment channel. Me and Adelia doing the open table. We're back. We're going to talk tennis. We're going to talk illnesses because, we're going to talk about why we've been out for a couple of weeks, as well as, just overall general news and notes, just having fun. So make sure to show up then. Cooking. We're going to talk about cooking as well. As big guy, I can cook some pasta.
You don't know how to cook.
You don't know how to cook.
You made an omelet brown. How the hell do you do that?
No, I've gotten better at that. You see, you haven't seen the new ones, man. The new ones have been not brown. They've been crispy. I realized my mistake. Yeah, I realized I've gotten better. It's trial and error, man. Trial and error. You were looking at Ferris at the beginning of the omelet making. This time, Ferris has gone good in the omelet making. I also can make a deconstructed omelet, which is pretty good.
The hell's
Pretty
that?
good. It's just, it's just if an omelet is broken apart, it's, it's whatever.
It's called scrambled eggs.
It's called your face. So whatever. All right. All right. But on that note, everybody, have a wonderful night. See y'all next time. Peace.